Hey, looks like we are live. Happy Wednesday. We made it to yet another week, so today is going to be a lot of fun. We're going to be continuing working on Michela, and I'm excited to work on this with you all. It's really very cool. If you have questions during the live stream, always feel free to ask. I'm very happy to share and to answer any questions. No questions are a bad question, I always say, and I mean that. So never feel that, oh, this might be a bad. No, there are no bad questions. There's just regrets. So here's a chance to ask questions, and that would be perfect. So we have Colette here. How are you, Colette? Great to see you. And we have Raul. Hey, Raul, how you doing? Colette from Wisconsin, Raul from New Jersey, and we have Mr. Clutch Pyro Patrick from Massachusetts. What a great group of people already. Thank you so much for taking time out on your Wednesday to hang out with me. I don't take it lightly. I mean, I don't care if it's 300 or 3,000. Every one of you are very important, and don't ever forget that, you know? So how you doing, Colette? It's great to see you. I'm actually working with the large compressor today as well as the small one because I need that extra CFM to kind of work on the background. I'm going to be working on her jacket. That's the main thrust of today, right? Is painting the fabric, which is interesting. So working in oils and working in this, there are some similarities, but not too many. It's like a whole different world. It really is. Now I'm going to be looking for one more set of magnets because I want to, I don't think, just right there I think I need to cover. I did see a whole big group of them. Alas, the magnets elude me. Let's see. Oh, I know they're on here. Haha. See, this is where they are. They're all on this thing right here. So, just want to see if I could. These big ones, they're pretty wild. Let's see if I can use them. I like this big one. Where do I get these magnets? Everywhere. Okay, so I can move that. So I don't want anything to go into this beautiful area of her face. That would be tragic. Okay, so that's good. If you guys have your beverage. Mr. Dwayne Marshall, how are you all the way from San Luis Obispo? And I'm so glad you're there. So glad to see you, Dwayne. And Mr. Air Todd, great to see you all the way from San Diego. So glad you guys are here. Once again, I'm working with Golden Fluid and Golden High Flow acrylics. I like it because of their airbrush mediums. And I like the fact that you know that it is an acrylic polymer. And you can also work with heavy body acrylics and all that. So that's my whole thing, my whole shtick on that, so to speak. So while you were away, I went ahead and covered with acetate the customized shield here with acetate. And I covered her hand, I covered the background, her face, and we're just going to work on the jacket. And I mixed up some Payne's Gray and some Bone Black with a little bit of primary yellow to get this color. It's funny because in the photo that I'm working from, it's like this bluish color. However, in the digital image, it's a blackish gray. And what I want to do is to go ahead and follow this. This is much more colorful. So lately I've been working from printouts from my printer, and I find that they are much more beautiful, and I'm just having more fun than working off of an image on the computer. Have you guys felt that? It's more fun to work from a printout and than working from an image on a computer. So you can see that it's a very bluish color. So what we're going to do is we're not going to be working on the darks. We're going to be working on the lights throughout. And then we're going to come in and we're going to work on the dark. So that's going to be great. I am going to be using my Extreme Patriot Arrow a little bit later. But right now I'm working on the Omni 4000, and it's hooked up to my compressor, which is a 6-gallon compressor. It's a little louder, but when I'm doing something like this, I need more power, and so that's why I want to get the larger compressor. When you start working in acrylics, you're going to need more power than that little one, so this is very important. Okay, so it's always best to stand when you are painting color, I feel. So I'm going to stand, and I'm going to take away the picture of me. No one needs to see me, right? So let's go ahead. I'm gone. All right. So now I'm just going to start to lightly spray, and I'm going to use a paintbrush. So this way, if anything could flip and flop up, I am prepared. And of course, I'm going to need many, many layers for this. And you can see it's a nice blue color, but that's not necessarily the color that it is. It's the color that I'm choosing to use. Now, this freehand shield is not going to be perfect, but that's why, you know, there's a human element to it. I just want to reduce the amount of overspray as much as possible. I'm about, I would say, about 5 inches from the surface. I definitely need a magnet over here, so I'm just gonna pull this over here like this. There we go. Maybe up a little bit. I have magnets on both sides because it's on wood, so it won't work doing the regular one magnet because it's too thick. Again, I'm going to maintain my distance of about 6 inches. And like I said, I like the blue. It's just more pleasing to me. And as Mr. Bob Ross said, it's your world. Now I have my compressor to go off when it goes all the way down because it sets itself up like it's at like 100, and then when it goes down to 90 it goes up. So I'd rather just set it to 100, let it go down, and this way I'm using the loud compressor less. Now I'm going very slow because I'm letting the paint catch up to the surface, which is very important. Hey Oz, how you doing? Great to see you. All the way from the Atlanta area. How are you? So glad you're here. How's life treating you? There's this little speck of white, a little speck of red there. See if I could just kind of Not sure what that is. I might be doing more damage than good. We'll see. Okay, at least I got it up, and I'll eventually have it catch up to everything else. And I like this blue color. It's really nice. Gotta make sure. It's a little bit of a pain, but we'll get it. I hate when I get paint under my fingernails. Ugh, that's gross. I see what happened, so we'll move this over here like this. See if we can move this up to protect this here. And I'm just going to establish this. And that's all I really want to do. I don't want to finish this fabric in one foul swoop, right? That's not the goal. Just like working in pastels and oils, you don't want to finish it up in one. You want to arrive. You don't want to break through like gangbusters. And there's going to be some correcting to do after this. Let's see, let's move this over a tad. There we go. And we can just catch this up. So what you want to do is you want to check and make sure that it's all even. Again, if you see anything that's weird, little doodads or something like that, see if you can just we can always fix that, but we don't want to keep spraying over a piece of paint or dust or what have you. Right here we have it on the corner here, so I'm just going to make sure that I get this area. And I'm liking it for now. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's take a look and see how good or bad it looks. Do I do that before going into the black? Why not? We can always put that back on, and we can talk about stuff while we're doing this. So let's take all this up. Oh, there's that spring. Remove my reference out of the way. Dun dun dun. Okay, very nice. See that? So, oh, Mr. Dwayne, thank you so much for the super chat. I really appreciate that. I always am very touched by your encouragement and your support, my friend. I really, really appreciate that. Thank you, my friend. My talented friend, I just want to say thanks from the bottom of my heart, sir. It really makes a huge difference in my life, financially, and also on a spiritual level. So thank you for that, sir. Mr. John Diekman, all the way from Wisconsin. How are you, sir? So glad you're here. So as you can see, we have a really nice even coverage, so it really worked out, right? I'm pleased with it. It's not perfect, but who said it had to be perfect? Nobody. So so you can see it looks really nice, and I didn't really go too dark, you know. I didn't do too many layers. I can always do more layers, but it's hard to take away. Now it's still wet, so I'm just gonna let that chill for a sec. And maybe we'll work on the background. I'm not sure. But we want to make sure that we get it perfect, you know? So, those of you who have a water or something, cheers to water. Hey Willie, how are you? How you been? It's always great to see you. Willie's an old friend from Massachusetts, and it's always a pleasure to see you, sir. Sorry you can't start, but I'm really happy you came by to say hello. That means a lot to me. You are amazing, but you know that, sir. I don't have to tell you. You know you're amazing. See how nice and thin? I really dilute my paints, but I dilute it mostly with the Airbrush medium and the high flow medium because it's still acrylic, and then maybe I'll do maybe like 10% of like 10% of maybe water, maybe less than 10%, right? So I'm getting a little give here in the needle, so that means two things: probably massive tip dry, which is one of them, and what happens is sometimes the paint gets stuck in the needle, in the nozzle. So what I do is it's hard to do it with your hand, so I'll just take a pliers and I'll loosen the chucking nut like you see, and I'll just rotate a little bit, and that's going to get rid of any drying that's going on in the nozzle. And now you can see I could rotate it easily with my hand. Still a little stiff, so let's see. So I'm going to loosen this. I'm going to pull out the needle, and the needle was pretty stiff. Okay. Okay, that seemed to rectify the situation. See, now I'm getting It's not working perfectly, so it's not optimal. But thank God I have my other airbrush. There we go. See, now we're getting good daggers. So that's important, right? Getting the good daggers. Alright, so I have my freehand shield somewhere here. And let's see if we can maybe work on some areas here. Perpendicular, not parallel. That rule never changes. So I'm just cleaning up that edge right there. I'm going to lower my air pressure a little bit. And let's see right here. You want to wipe off your freehand shield after you spray. See how little by little I'm actually fixing the edge that was lost, or it just didn't quite line up. There we go, and we'll catch that up. And let's see, where else? You don't want to be too like, you know, everything needs to be perfect at this stage, but it's okay to try and fix things. See, I'm fixing that spot there of her arm, wiping it in between. One good advice I have is to just slow it down, especially with airbrush, you know. You just slow down the tempo and things work out. Don't let it don't let the fast pace of airbrushing kind of dictate how fast you go. You want to take your time. There we go. So you see how nice and clean I'm making it. And over here, it was interesting. If I look at the reference, that's a dark that is right there, which is great. So that's going to solve that problem. Let's see. So you can see, you know, you take your time. There's no difference than when working in black and white, in the sense that you're still doing the same principles, right? You're just slowly getting darker. You're taking your time. And you want to be as clean as possible. We'll use our freehand shield for this. Mr. Dwayne, what have you been working on this week? Hey, Patty, how are you? It's so great to see you. How's work going? And Patty saw my video on the palette knives. So, Patty, you said you had some palette knives. You're thinking of going back into using palette knives? You got this beautiful dark right over here. Now you might say, well, why are you doing it in the dark blue when you're going to come in with a much darker color? The same thing when we work in airbrush and the India ink, is that you want to slowly build up texture, and that's how you do it. Oh, thank you. Patty said that my demo was awesome. Thank you. Thanks for checking it out. I'll be doing lots of demos on Airbrush products in the coming weeks on my channel, so stay tuned. I think you guys will really enjoy that. And Dwayne says he's been moving the last 2 weeks, just finishing up his studio and hoping to start painting again tomorrow. Oh, so you're moving. Is it a far move? Or hopefully is it someplace close? Okay, my air pressure is going down, so I have to turn on my compressor. One moment. Once it gets down below 30, I start to feel it. But I'll let this go up, and so we'll just slowly build this up. I may do some slight erasing with an aggressive eraser to start to get the texture of her jacket, which will be a lot of fun. It's nice, these big compressors, they take a long time to fill up, but then you have this like really nice, powerful air source. I still have my small compressor, but when I'm working in acrylics, especially the golden, I like to have some power. Oh, 15-mile move, very cool. Is it a nicer place, Dwayne? Uh-oh, guys. So that just means that my lights blew. So I'm gonna have to go downstairs and hit the breaker. I'll be right back, guys, okay? Okay guys, thanks for waiting. I don't think it was the breaker. I just think it's the little surge protector thing. Let me see. Where is this big compressor connecting to this? Let's see if that helps. Let me turn it on. There we go. I think that'll make it work. Okay, so that's it for that compressor, everybody. All right, so let's see. My printer went off, all that. It was the surge protector. So we'll use this one compressor because well, I can just hit the surge protector. Let's see what goes on. Let's check it out. Thanks for waiting. And we have some shadow right here. And the best thing is keep your distance, right? That's very important. Oh, take care, Patty. Always a pleasure to see you. All right. So I'm keeping my distance. And you see how the blue, I feel, works much better if I just went in black and white. There's a little bit of an impressionist in me, I think, hiding somewhere in there. Let's go ahead and put this back on. And I just want to protect that hand again. Because now I think I'm going to come in and start working on some of the darks. And, you know, I can do it all freehand, but when I freehand meaning, you know, be careful with it. But I think it's always best to protect your skin tones and everything from overspray. Let's see, so I'm just going to come over here, move a couple of these magnets. Let's see here. Let me get rid of my volume. Okay. And how do you guys do the magnet thing? It's hard working on wood. Although wood is like my favorite to work on, it kind of kills the whole magnet idea because it's so thick. Hey honey, how you doing? Great to see you. Thanks so much for hanging out. I appreciate that. Oh, this is more trouble than it's worth, I think. But I am going to keep... So the magnets are a little more difficult, especially with wood. So if I was using something very thin, I would have a lot better time at this. But you have to protect this. You have to protect your work. So let's move this. Okay. There we go. So protect here and her arm. Okay. All right. So we have a dark right on the edge. And I'm going to do this a little bit at a time. Her face is covered, thank God. And right back here. It's a nice dark coming down. As you can see. Okay. Yeah, that would be cool. Like a piece of sheet metal would be good. The only thing is I do have some metal, but the this is too thick, this board, you know, honey? Great idea, but maybe I need more powerful magnets. Well, let's put this here. Okay, let's see how this is looking. We'll just remove this. See, the thing is just to protect this edge here and just to get that really nice, beautiful quality. I do love the color that I chose for the jacket. Hey, Lucre, how are you from Houston? Great to see you. How's everything? I'm so glad you're here. Thank you for coming by and hanging out. I really appreciate you. So let's get the freehand shield and see if we can fix this one area right here. Right here is this one little area. So just fixing all these edges that kind of get away from us, right? And so let's see, right here, there seems to be a little shadow. Let's see what that is. No, I drew it in, but it's not showing up in the reference. I don't know what I was thinking. And so now you can see now we have the whole thing going, right? We have the values, we have the subtle shifts of color, which is really nice. And so I'm really happy with that. And so maybe I might want to cover this hand and come in a little bit, do more detail with this. But that's something I can do later. That seems like that's going to be like a real special kind of area that I'm going to have to concentrate on. But let's see if I can just kind of fix this area a little bit. And keep moving your freehand shield until you find exactly the edge you need. You'll get it, trust me. Wipe off that freehand shield before you restart. Okay. So now what I want to do is I want to come in with some black paint and see if this is it dries like really fast. It's so weird coming from oil painting world going into the acrylic world and now going into the airbrush world. It's just like it dries like almost instantaneously. It's very strange. These shields that I do, this friend of mine cut this one for me, and I use it forever for the last couple of years. That's the only real freehand shield I use. And these I cut with the acetate, which works out really nice. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put this airbrush aside, and I'm going to take out my Extreme Patriot Arrow. And I want to start hitting some of these darks, right? And I'm going to be using the same color, but I'm going to be adding black to it. And what better way to darken something than to add black to it? So now I just have to find those cups that were right here just about 30 seconds ago. There they are. Okay, so we're going to put some of this in there. Keep it there for our DNA. Now this is some bone black that I mixed up. Why bone black? Why not lamp black? Why not, you know, all the other blacks? Well, bone black, of course, in the name, it's an organic material. And so that means that it is warmer. So it has a warmer quality to it. And it's not artificial looking, and a lot of times when you have that really cold blue, it just doesn't look natural, especially when you're painting portraits and everything like that. You want it to have that reality feeling of life. And you can see I'm already significantly darker, but I want to go darker still. I'm going to add more of that bone black. I'm going to take a little palette knife, as you can see, and I'm just going to move that around. Now I want to thin this out significantly too. So the great thing about working with golden is that you can thin it out with other acrylic that's, you know, acrylic that has no color. That's the airbrush medium. And that's going to thin this out significantly. And now I could thin it out even more by going and putting in some high flow medium, which is thinner ever still. So one of the advantages of the high flow medium is that it's gonna thin it out, but it's not gonna lose the adhesion properties, adhesive properties. As you can see. Now, do I need to go darker? Yeah, I'm going to add some more bone black to it, and then I'm going to put some water in it as well. I'm an ink painter, right? So I like thinned when I'm airbrushing. So I'm going to make my paints thinner than probably most people out there. It's just the kind of guy I am. Lots of bone black. Now it doesn't look too deeply dark here, but it really is. And I can always go darker, right? But I'll have a heck of a time getting lighter. Wipe off my palette knife. Now I do have, let's see, I'm probably going to need the bigger cup. This guy right here. So let me get the other hose out. I'm going to open up this valve. Okay, so this looks good. I have my Extreme Patriot 105. Make sure that this needle is clean. Acrylics open up a whole new world of possible issues. Airbrush Down and Dirty Tricks. Hey, how's it going? Good to see you, Mr. McKay. Thank you so much for coming by. That is such an honor. Thank you so much. I'm really enjoying your live streams, sir. If you haven't checked out, and I'm sure you have, if you haven't checked out Steve McKay's live streams on Thursday nights, they are literally out of this world. Really amazing. Just want to thank you what you do for the airbrush community. Really appreciate you. Wow, thank you, Scott, Mr. McKay. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Wow, that means the world to me, sir. Thank you. Wow, this is a great night. I really appreciate you. That's so cool. Yeah, so Honey agrees that your live streams are just incredible. Mike DeLoach, how are you? How's everything? So glad to see you. And right now I'm just going to very lightly start to work in these darkest darks in here. And just like when I'm working in with my India inks, it's the same thing. I'm not changing my philosophy too much. I mean, I do have to worry about chroma and saturation and stuff, which are new. But right now I could basically just build things up really slowly, which is great. So, Mr. McKay, what part of the U.S. are you from, sir? I believe Florida, no, if I'm not mistaken? I'm probably wrong. Oh, great. Mike says he's finally able to go ahead and catch a full episode. Oh, you're on vacation. Oh, that's so great. That's okay. You didn't miss too much there, Mike. I kind of had a power surge. Oh, Massachusetts. Very cool. Oh, up there. Beautiful country. So that would be near Lowell, is that correct? Because I know James McNeill Whistler came from Lowell. So it's working out. So as I'm building it up just like I would with my Airbrush India inks, if I have that same kind of philosophy that I'll get there when I get there, I'll be, oh, on the coast, that's beautiful. Oh man, so you get some really great, and 20 minutes from Lowell, cool. You must get some real beautiful summers up there, huh? That's great. I'm getting good flow from the airbrush, And I did thin that out quite significantly. But it is some getting used to, you know, working with the India inks all this time. And so, not gonna lie, it's not the easiest thing in the world going from India inks to working in acrylic, but it's worth it. Am I running out already? No. Let's see. We'll just blow this out. Open up the air valve a little bit. Want to be careful of overspray because it's going to give it a really weird look, you know? So I want to be careful of that. And I have to watch out for tip dry a little bit more. Of course, Scott on his live streams, he makes working with acrylic paints look like it's simple. But don't be mistaken, he just knows what he's doing. He paints like he knows what it's going to do before it does it. There we go. Just getting a sense of what's going on, you know, as far as values and everything. Yes, that's it. You know, knowing what it's going to do, right? Mr. McKay is, you know, you take your time and you just every time every hour is like money in the bank. And that's the great thing about it is that, you know, you put the time in and you're just going to do great things. Let me see, I'm going to put this airbrush that I have, the blue, back over here next to the big compressor. All right, so I'm going to, let's see, maybe I could go ahead and try working on the background. I know that's going to be scary, but I think it's going to be worth it. Let's see. So I want the silhouette. It's funny, make the silhouette that I made with this silhouette program. We'll put this on here. Started in '89. Whoa! Holy cow. So you, Steve Leahy, Drew Blair, you guys, I call you guys the torchbearers. You guys are the ones who kept it going, you know? And so I admire you because then guys like me could come around like 13 years ago, but you guys have been making it exciting and all of that stuff. So yeah, so we owe it to you and to, you know, those who were doing it when nobody was doing it. And the paints, like you say, the paints were really horrible because there weren't enough of you to have the paint companies probably pay any attention to you, right? You know? Scott is the godfather. That's cool. And let's see. Oh, listen to this. So this is cool stuff. So Scott says that he started with Deca paints. So thick he had to be at 80 psi. Oh my God, that's amazing. And holy cow. I would say you're the young uncle, right, of airbrushing. That sounds better. But definitely, yeah, nothing would, this live stream wouldn't be here without guys like you, Scott. That I know. You know, people like Jonathan Pantaleone, Javier. Uh, you guys kept it going when I was off trying to paint like Caravaggio in oil paints. So, thank God for you guys. So what I'm doing is the wood's kind of thick, so I'm getting magnets and putting it on both sides. I know it's archaic. Probably better to have some frisket or something like that, but I didn't think of it in time. Let's see, I do have more magnets over here. So I'm going to go ahead and we're going to mix up that beautiful background. We'll see how that goes. So does anyone know, like sometimes, like over the years, when I was painting in acrylics, that the paint would actually kind of make them stick together. Does anyone know of a way to unstick them? Let's see here. Put this. Started with the one on the bottom, on the top, and then the one on the bottom. Okay. And maybe right here. We should be okay with just these magnets, I hope. Yeah, no, those guys are great. You learn a lot from them, definitely. Mr. Leahy and just fantastic. I mean, when I was a kid, there was no information on anything. You would go to the library and there was nothing there. So right now is just this overflow of information, which is good. You can never have too much information as long as you're doing as well, right? So as long as you're watching the live streams and doing your own work, that's what's really going to get you to the next level. It's the application, the lab work, the hours of just playing with the paint. Cass Fuller, when I first started, he said something very profound to me when I was, figuring out how to do this crazy airbrush thing. He said that just play with the paint, and that made the world of difference. And once I heard him say that, it was like a light came up, and I just started playing with the paint and not worrying about what I was painting or how it was coming out. And it just made all the difference. And since then, I do that with everything, whether I'm working in oils or working in pastels or working in acrylic and working in airbrush. Is just play with the paint. And great things will happen when you play with the paint. We learn about it, we learn what it does and what it doesn't do. Not always thinking preciously about a painting. Yes, that's so true. Yes, definitely, Mr. Scott. Just have fun and experiment. Yeah, and muscle memory is the key. Yeah, putting in those hours, right? Hey, Brad, how you doing? Great to see you all the way from Manitoba. That is exciting. And Mike says, finding Tim's channel, let me pick them up. Oh, that makes me happy. That's the main reason why I started doing this, because I didn't want people to be throwing away their airbrush, because, it's not as difficult. It just takes the time, right? And time is the fun part, right? So that is, what I always love it when people pick it up. Oh, thank you so much, Mr. Brad, with the super chat. Really appreciate it. You guys are great. Scott and Brad and everyone helping me out. I really appreciate that. You guys are great. Dwayne, always. You are just incredible. So now I'm looking at this, and I kind of like this here. So it's kind of a greenish gray. And again, I like to go on my palette here, on my oil painting palette, and I kind of will mix these colors. And so we're looking at, like, I would say kind of a blue, right? Maybe like a Prussian blue with some white. And I'm looking at that, and I need a lot more white. So a lot of white and some Prussian blue, and I'm going to put some just basic primary yellow. And here it's called cadmium yellow in the painting world, the oil painting world, I should say. And now it's a powerful yellow, and now I could go ahead and add some of this raw umber. And raw umber will kind of kill it, but in a good way. And actually getting pretty close, and I'm going to add more black. And getting somewhat closer, but I think I need a little more of that blue. So I'm going to bring some blue into here. Let's see what happens here. Getting closer, so that's good. Getting closer, so I feel good about that. And let's see. Oh, honey, thank you so much for the super chat. I really appreciate you. Thank you. That means the world to me. You guys, you know, it's not easy, you know, trying to make a living at this stuff. And I really believe that I'm doing the right thing. But you guys contributing just lets me know I'm doing the right thing. And I'm not totally off the wall for doing this. So thank you. It means a lot financially, and it means even more spiritually. So thank you, everybody. I really, really appreciate it. And I appreciate you guys just coming by and hanging out with me. There's a lot of stuff going on out there, a lot of great channels and everything. But the fact that you guys hung out with me means the world to me. So thank you. So I think this is going to be pretty close to the color that I'm going to have as the main color. I could always adjust it. Ah, Clutch Patrick, thank you for the super chat. You guys are above and beyond today. I am so encouraged. Thank you. What a great way to end the month of May, hanging out with all you people and having Scott McKay here. Wow, this is really it started out slow. I had a power outage. But you guys really turned it around, so thank you. So the first thing I'm going to do after learning from mixing it on the palette with the oil paints, I'm going to probably start out with white. And Mr. McKay says, you're the man, it's all building process, and you're doing... Ah, thank you, sir. I really appreciate that. I really appreciate that, Scott, coming from you, sir. Thank you. Very, very, extremely encouraging. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with... Let's start with white. So I'm going to be starting with the zinc white. Well, not zinc white, because we want a lot of coverage. So I'm going to attack this with titanium white. I'm going to put that in there, good amount. And now there's this like little greenish tinge to it. And I am going to mix... Wow, I hardly ever use this. This is teal. Should I try it? what do we got to lose, right? Let's put a little bit of teal in there because it does have kind of a teal quality. So I'm going to put a couple of drops of teal, see what that does. And of course we're going to use the bone black, and bone black is very important. Let's see, just put a couple of drops of bone black. And now I'm going to put the airbrush medium because the fluid acrylics, they just come out way too thick. So I have to thin that out 50-50 with that. And then from there, if I need to, I'll thin it out even more with some, I'm going to cover my painting. And we're just going to mix this, and hopefully I'll be pleasantly surprised. See, it's really nice. It's nice. It's a nice base color. And what I could do is I could use this as a base color and then just darken it around it. But I'm really liking it. And Brad says, what's everyone take on AI art? Yes, Mr. McKay and everybody, and Dwayne and Mr. Deloach and Honey, what do you guys feel about AI art? I would love to hear. Because that's the hottest thing, the hottest topic that's going on right now. Am I right, everybody? So, love to hear what you guys think. I'll start the conversation and say, yeah, I'm actually loving the idea of ChatGPT and stuff like that. I really feel like we're living in a very exciting times. I'm going to put the tiniest amount of this raw umber. I love raw umber with oil painting. So raw umber is such a wonderful color because it calms stuff down. And so Brad says, and Colette says to Brad, stirring the pot. That's funny. I think that we have to adapt. And, you know, those who adapt won't get left behind. It's going to be a while. I was talking with a very intelligent engineer today, and he made some really great comments saying that it's still in its infancy, so its real impact is yet to be seen, right? The real impact is coming. And that's interesting, that the real impact is actually coming. I may want it just a little more blue. I'm going to add just some primary blue to this, just a touch, and we'll see how that goes. Just a touch of primary blue. And I mixed this up earlier with the high flow. I think it's going to be something that is going to really make artists' lives easier. It's exciting. At first I was very mad, but not so mad anymore. See, I'm just bluing this up a little bit. And Mike says, oh, Brad says scary stuff, and Mike says AI isn't creating anything, it's taking from the parameters. True, but can we use AI to make us better painters, to make us better airbrush artists? That's the question that we could ponder, right? Could we do that? Is that something that is not outside the realm? You know, can you use elements of AI to make you a better painter? And that's the real question. So I'm kind of liking this color, you know? It's a good color to start with. It has some life to it. And I want to be a little impressionistic. I don't want to be so literal as to what I see. So I want to, you know, kind of change it up a little bit. I'm going to put some high flow medium in there. High flow takes the airbrush medium a little bit thinner. But one of the great things about the high flow medium is that it is stuck. No, the high flow medium, let me just put this here. I don't want to put too much. There we go. it has some good adhesion uh, elements in the high flow medium that will help you when you're painting. Got some high flow medium on my keyboard. And so Honey says it's a catch-22 for her. It's great to put together your own idea so you can create a unique reference, but like everything, it has a downside when used incorrectly. Definitely. I mean, it is. They're going to be the charlatans out there who are going to say it's their own painting and everything. That's a problem. But, you know, they can fool all the people all the time. No, they can fool some of the people some of the time, but not all the people all the time. So right now this is nice and thin. And I did use this airbrush for the dark, so let's see, what will I do? Okay, I'm going to dump this out. And I'm just going to clean out this color here. See how it goes. I may have to use the Extreme Patriot arrow, no problem. So yeah, I mean, it is exciting. It's just like when digital art came about. A lot of the artists were kind of afraid of digital art, and but those who use it, you know, look at what Mr. McKay does with the plotter. It's just amazing. I mean, how far he goes with it. And he's not afraid of the technology, and it helps him. And I mean, it's just the proof's in the work, right, of what he does. And I know watching Mr. McKay's live stream, he also talks about using Adobe Illustrator and Photoshop, and so really great stuff there. Yes, so Mr. McKay says that AI has its plus and minuses. And Mike says, here's another issue. If you use AI to generate an image, the owner of the AI owns the copyright. You may have the idea, but you didn't create the image. So here's something interesting that I read, because I have been going into this. Once you create that AI image and you go ahead and download that on your computer, it's still, because the Copyright Office said that you cannot copyright something created by an animal or a computer. So it's not copyright. But once you change it, you know, if you change the eyes or change the background, it's no longer public domain. So once you go ahead and change it, and you have to change it significantly, once you do that, then, believe it or not, the AI becomes yours. And I love this conversation. And Mr. McKay says, don't be afraid of AI art, be afraid of how the artists use it. So true. Brad says he's not sure, didn't like when the computers linked up to CNC and started cutting wood. Yes, definitely. So it is kind of disheartening at first, because we were doing it, you know, such an artisan craft way of doing it, but it's just a new way. And so definitely feel your pain on that, Brad, with the CNC. And Airbrush Down and Dirty, Mr. McKay says, depends on how you use what AI gives you. There are a lot of so true and very exciting. So I'm excited about it. I think it's going to be very good, and also with ChatGPT. Okay, so I'm going to start going where there might be some overspray from before, when I was working on the earlier layers. But I love this color. I think it's definitely a good choice. And I may have to do other layers. But she's so fresh and so beautiful, Michela. And I just want, that's what I really want to express in this. And I think doing this really helps. So let me move this over a little bit. I think I kind of missed the mark here. Let's see if I can move it over. Can I? That's the question. I'm going to start with one side. Make sure this side is fine, and then I'll worry about the other side. I think that's the right way to go. At least that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Let's see. And I'm going to need lots of layers, just like always, just to get rid of any overspray that happened when I was working on her jacket. But now I have this edge really nice. And Brad says, the color is great. Thank you, sir. And Mr. Loach says, mint fading to state. Yeah, it is. It is a beautiful mint color. And I'll be working on the edges. So I'm not thinking that the edges are going to be really perfect at this stage once I lift it. But I just don't want overspray on her face. That would kind of ruin my day. I'm trying for cleanliness, you know? And, oh, so there is a balance, Mr. McKay says, and it's going to have to do a lot of back and forth about it. It's like looking at a dozen images to get inspired. As long as you don't copy parts of those images, your outcome. Yes, it's so true. You know, we can definitely take those AI images and get inspired by it, as you say, which is great. And I think that's a great way to look at it. Oh, wow. So this is a nice color. So I am happy with the color. And make sure I don't have any tip dry. I have to say my airbrushes are basically really great for working with India inks and thin paints. But I would say something like the Eclipse is probably best when you're working in thicker acrylics. Make sure I have enough of that paint. I do, that's good. So I'm at about 30 psi, which is not bad. And I have that little 1 gallon silent air compressor. I have the big compressor, but right now it's tripping my oh, I ran out. See, so right now I'm tripping my circuit breaker. So I'm going to use this last part here and see how that goes. And we're going to work on this side now. And, you know, we'll do other layers and everything. Oh, the silent airs are great. I just wish I had it more, you know. Yes, thank you for your input on AI. I really appreciate that, Scott and Mike and Brad. And, you know, great comments, you know. Yeah, the silent airs are really great. Makes me feel like if I ever move, I'll still be able to airbrush. But not at 3 in the morning, but still be able to airbrush during a proper time, because it is a lot quieter, but not as quiet as I thought they would be, but still happy about it. Let me come up here. Like I said, I'm going to have some cleaning to do, that's for sure, on these edges, so that's important. And Mr. Deloach says the Extreme Patriot arrow can be downgraded to a larger tip. That's so true. That's a great idea. I haven't thought of that. I am going to do that experiment. Thank you. That is just great thinking. Thank you, Mr. Deloach. So that's the thing. We can make it to a 5.0, right? And see how that goes. And that might be much better. So thank you for that. I need you guys because I don't always think outside the box. I always want to, but I need you all to kind of slap me in shape a little bit sometimes. Okay, so I'm going to be worried about this side here. And let's see. Oh, beautiful. Now that's covering it nicely. Okay. And also 20-pound CO2 tank with a regular work, amazing and no sound. Wow, that's great. 15 hours, really? Wow, how much would one of those tanks cost, sir? Because that's a great idea as well. I haven't even thought of that. So you guys have been doing it since, you know, years and years and decades. You guys know all that stuff, so I have so much yet to learn. Oh, at live events, that's amazing. So no sound whatsoever. That's unheard of. No pun intended. That's incredible. Wow. So I have to move this over without. Okay. All right. So now I think. Well, I'm just going to worry about this side. So I'm just going to bring this up here. So the hand is good. And you can move this up a little bit and over. Like I said, it's not going to be perfect, but at least on this side, we're going to be in good shape. I just want this perimeter of the hand. I don't want to have to repaint areas that are not necessary to be repainted. Okay. All right, so now we're going to come back here. And wow, clean and dry. That's amazing. Rent a full one for like 30 bucks and regular cost is like 150 for a one-time fee. Wow. That's pretty cool. So if you're at an event and you're making money, it's, you know, part of the job, right? So that's great. I like spraying away from the freehand shield or the stencil because there's less of a chance of underspray. Oh, you started with a CO tank years ago. That's incredible. And there's almost no fluctuation in pressure, Mr. Mike says. And Dwayne says he started with the CO2 tank. Wow, that's great. Very cool stuff. See, I learn a lot more sometimes from you all than you guys are learning from me. And again, it's just I got to make sure I don't have any tip dry. That's new because I don't get that with the India inks. So just new pluses and minuses. But you can see that this minty color, when we lift it, it's going to look great with the beautiful Michela. She's from Brazil, you know, with the water and the beaches. So I wanted to okay, so let's take a look. We'll just go some clean areas here. And while welder suppliers, ventilation is required, literally putting extra CO2 in this space. Wow, must be good for the plants though. Look for a local gas supplier. They usually carry them. That is fantastic. Dwayne says his grandparents owned a scuba shop. Wow, how cool is that? Knowing the right people, right? Not what you know is who you know. That is true most of the time. It stinks when you don't know anybody. Like me. Okay, so liking it, it's not perfect, but I'll work on it later. But let's take a look at it and see if it's good, bad, or ugly. Might be a little of everything, but if it's Michela, it's not going to be ugly, that's for sure. Let's see. Just want to be careful I don't make a mess, which I have been known to do. And oh, the extra CO2 is minuscule so long as you have basic ventilation. Oh, good to know. Yeah, this is all new to me, so great information. Priceless information. All right, so I have my handful of magnets. I'm going to put it over here, and let's see how Miss Michela is looking. Okay, so not bad, you know. I'm happy with it. It has that kind of light feel to it, and I may darken it, or I may go ahead and maybe do something nautical behind her. I don't know, but I really like it, and I didn't get too much overspray, so I lucked out in a lot of ways. So it's nice when you luck out. But this is my first color portrait my first portrait in Airbrush so far. I still got a good three live streams to do on this, but this is my first one in, I would say, about 4 years. So it's really interesting. And let's see. No closed doors, spare room, Mike says. And Brad says, won't have the climate. Oh, wow, the police. Well, that's always scary. Nice to know, Brad says, if you ever drag me off to my farm and try to stick them in an apartment. Oh, man. And Airbrush Down and Dirty, Mr. McKay says, all Airbrush getaways were done with 90. Really? Wow. Now, why is that? Just easier to just rent? Was that the main thing, Mr. McKay? Just easier to rent and give them back? Is that rather than, you know, lugging compressors around the country? And, oh, wow, thank you. So Mr. Scott said this looks amazing. I really appreciate that. That means a lot to me. And Colette says she's looking great, and wow, that's true. I would have loved to gone to one of those, you know. I mean, you guys are all great, you know. The work you used to do with the gas tanks and stuff, Mr. McKay, was just incredible. And also, you know, Javier Soto, who I've met indirectly, and Jonathan Pantaleone, who I met. I mean, it must have just been just a fun time hanging around other airbrush artists, right, Scott? So it's funny, I was talking to someone today, a student, and he met somebody who was an airbrush artist, and the airbrush artist was just so excited. And I told him, in real life, meeting another airbrush artist is almost like seeing a unicorn. Uh, so Colette has an interesting question. Does an oxy concentrator put out enough oxygen for airbrushing? Oh yeah, I could imagine, Scott. Great times, right? Just to like forget about your problems, right? And just paint and talk about art and airbrushes and PSI and all that crazy language we speak in, right? That's just so funny. So kind of a weird thing. I'm gonna stop here tonight because this is about all I want to do. I'm just gonna spend the rest of the time cleaning my airbrushes and getting ready for tomorrow. But next week we're going to continue with this. We're going to resolve her hair, and we're going to get in more detail with her, and that's going to be a lot of fun. The jewelry, and also kind of work out. I'm going to make new stencils to protect everything, so it's going to be a lot easier to be clean. And the background went very nicely. Thank you, Brad. I really liked it. I like the way the golden handled with the high flow and the airbrush medium. It has nice adhesion. It's not too shiny, so it's not sticky. And I think it's gonna work out really well. And so, guys, thank you, Mr. McKay, for hanging out with us. It's such an honor. I just want to tell you. Thank you, everyone, thank you, Clutch, for the super chat sticker. Honey and Brad, you guys are just amazing. Thank you so much, Mr. McKay, for the super chat sticker. And Dwayne, thank you for your continued support. You guys are just out of this world. And so this is a new step for my live stream, working in color. So we're going to be doing more of that. Still doing our black and white, with the India ink, but switching on and off, and that's going to be a lot of fun. So have a great week, everyone. You guys are all amazing, and I'm really touched that you spent your Wednesday night hanging out with little old me. It meant a lot to me. And check out Mr. McKay's live stream tomorrow, I believe. So definitely, what time is it I'm going to be tomorrow? Mr. McKay? Raul, thanks so much for hanging out from Jersey. Colette, you're great. Oh, yes, definitely. What time, sir? I think it's around 9 o'clock, if I'm not mistaken. You're kind of a night owl like me. But I'm definitely going to come by. 8 o'clock, I'll definitely come by and hang out. Everyone, if you come by and hang out at Mr. McKay's live stream, and just get inspired by his wonderful art, that would be amazing. All right, guys, take care, and I hope you have a great week. Bye.